Good morning, traders, and welcome back to another YouTube video and a YouTube live. Today we are trading the equity markets, and as we know, today is June 25th, and we are seeing now a nice form of a rebound today in the markets. Bitcoin is back up to 107k. Recent news: the markets have rebounded after a ceasefire brokered by the U.S. between Iran and Israel, and we've seen also as well Tesla falling heavily after lower Europe numbers and losing market share. So overall, let's go over the rundown and see how the market is doing. So as you guys can see, we are looking at the overall triple Qs, and we are not too much to the downside. We're actually up positive on the day, 0.20% here, a little bit less than 1/4% here, but we're seeing some declines here, right? We're below intraday VWAP, which is this blue line. And we kind of been declining. We failed this prior area of support, and we're declining, but we are forming a higher weight candle here, which is showing a lot of interest here, demand as well. The volume is coming in. We can plot that in as well. We can put in here volume to kind of get a little bit of interest. So yeah, there is a slowdown here in the selling. So maybe we may see a rebound here on the market, or else we'll see that decline. Looking for possible support here at the $538 level. And overall, we are near all-time highs. The market has been discounting all of the negative news that we've been getting from the Iran and Israel conflict, and it was looking like the market didn't really care about that conflict, where keep going up higher, and we kept seeing that momentum rise towards the upside. So let's get a little bit of a breakdown here on what the news offered today in the market and how it's overall impacting its performance. So here we are on the Uplift Markets newsletter. Like I said, it's completely free, where we give out here the recent news and also AI powered trade setups. So if you guys go towards a stock analysis and trade setups, actually here towards the watch list, we give setups that we firmly believe are bullish, right? So for example, hims and hers, we give our bullish case here with technical levels and precise entry points as well here with Tesla, and more outstandingly Micron Technologies. This thing we've been really bullish, right? So it's breaking above key EMAs, and it was fueled by this $200 billion chip expansion, right? So you guys get this every single Sunday to your inbox, right? All you have to do is just sign up, completely free, and we give a little bit of our risk level to moderate. We include the daily chart here so you guys can see, and we posted this absolutely on June 15th, and today is June 25th, and we were looking long as it was above the key levels, and our reasoning as to why we're looking long price targets, and looked like one of them is close to getting fulfilled, 137, so it would have been a nice entry. And a risk management, so I said below 102, right? We give a little bit more of insights and final thoughts, and overall pretty good setup. So let's go back to the home page here and just look at the overall setup. So we can search here as well, June 25, and find the overall decision here. So NVIDIA led the market and is still leading. It's still outperforming right now on the day so far. Been pretty strong, really bullish. And also as well, there's the Fed. It's kind of signaling a little bit of rate cuts here for the upcoming, and I believe they will start to cut rates as we've been seeing that GDP contraction, and also retail sales have been declining month over month and year over year. So they got to kind of have that rate cut and incentivize economic spending, right? Incentivize the economy again. So economic data that came in today, not really too important, mostly for real estate and those type of ETFs here. For example, we have the 30-year mortgage rate, which actually came in a little bit higher than the previous. Some applications, not really too important, but we did have at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 10 a.m. Eastern, Fed Chair Powell testimony. Hasn't really been affected the markets. He's had said some little concepts here, or been asked questions on whether they're looking to cut rates or not, or if tariffs are still looming on inflation, and we just have to take a little bit of caution a little bit on our positions, and just keep in mind whenever the news comes in, they can pretty much impact the market, and especially from Fed Chair Powell here. So the overall rundown, the markets were pretty flat during the pre-market. We didn't really see too much towards the upside, but the markets have remained firm today morning, basically, as optimism has grown over the future rate cuts and calming geopolitical tensions, like I said, between Iran and Israel. The Federal Jerome Powell has sparked investor confidence again by suggesting that rate cuts could come sooner rather than later. His testimony today and Friday's PCE inflation report remain key short-term catalysts, like I said. And also tomorrow we get the final revision for GDP, and it's expected to be lower. So I'm confident that we will be seeing GDP coming in lower, and we'll also see PCE with a good number, and that will incentivize solely for the rate cut, most likely, because the economy is slowing down, and we can't allow it to slow down for too long. As we know, we got to incentivize the economy a little bit more by cutting down the rates, right? Oil has been declining quite heavily, not compared to the previous weeks. Brent crude is now above 66, but at one point is around $75. WTI below $65 as well, and it's obviously due to the fact that there's a ceasefire right now. Slowly starting to see the economic and overall geopolitical tensions kind of cooling down, so it's reducing that immediate risk here for oil. And with the threat of the Strait of Hormuz being closed, right? So it's pretty good news to see that there's a ceasefire. The trade of the day, like I said, it has been NVIDIA, and we've been looking really bullish on this name. All the indicators that we have been showing that it's bullish on the daily, and now it's showing bullishness on across multiple time frames. For example, a 30, 15 minute, and for example right now as well, the 15 minute and 10 minute as well. So we've been seeing a lot of bullishness ever since these lows, and it's looking absolutely amazing, this name. And you guys may be asking, well, why NVIDIA? Well, we're having this news here that it's back in focus after Loop Capital raised a price target towards 250 from what they had at 175. They're citing explosive growth in generative AI and hyperscale compute spending, and I firmly believe that thesis as well. I'm really bullish on NVIDIA, and they estimate that it could reach $2 trillion by 2028. And the firm strongly believes that NVIDIA can have a possible valuation of $6 trillion market cap. So still got a long ways to go. We're at 3.5 trillion, but they're calling it basically the start of a golden wave in AI transformation. And I firmly believe that we're all seeing this increase in AMD and the majority of chip names, right? Also, we're seeing Micron explode, right? So there's that investor confidence getting back into the markets and a little bit more risk on perspective here. Also, Bitcoin pumping up, right? So now I think it opened up today in the morning. Well, it's a 24-hour market, but it was around 107,000, and it's been finding key support areas, like we previously said, around 100,000, and it's quite nice to see that prior area of resistance is now holding. So yeah, pretty much that's a bullish catalyst, and it's continuing to be one of the market's AI leader here. We're looking really bullish on this name, and there's a lot of strong upside potential, right? So pretty much that was the news that came in, and a little bit of the trade rundown with some entry points and decisions here. So going back to the market here, market is still declining, but let's look at NVIDIA. Let's take a look at the leader, and absolutely bullish, right? I was looking long as we held above the $149 level. So we opened above it, and it gave me the indication that we are supposed to be long this name, and we currently have some call options on this name with a strike price of around 150 strike price, and they're pretty good in the money so far, but we are looking to hold a little bit here. We do see further upside momentum. The momentum is pretty green, volume pretty intense on the open. It's still above VWAP, so just gives us that reassurance that the buyers are present in the name, and they're controlling so far the intraday trend here of NVIDIA. Yeah, and overall we're looking really bullish on this name right now. So looking at other names here at the volume gainers, this is a little scanner here that we get on TradingView. It's a paid version, but it's pretty well. It gives us a lot of trade ideas to kind of take into account here, because we want volume as day trades, we need the volume to be pretty high because we want that increased liquidity in order to see the nice moves that we should be seeing and are pretty accustomed to. So for example, Tesla, pretty weak on the day. It opened quite heavily, on the open, strong selling. Now we're seeing a rebound and towards the VWAP, so we'll probably see, now it's reverting back towards the mean. We can see this obviously with the standard deviation lines here on VWAP. It's kind of reverting back, so it's now being here. So I expect maybe the stock to kind of, trade a little bit here flat and then maybe decline over the upcoming later on during the day a little bit towards this price target here, 319, and we actually almost reached that today, so around the zone, and that's where the buyers came in here. So around this area, like I said, when we have support and resistance levels, it doesn't have to be exactly that level, right? It may bounce a little bit before it. It's like I said, it's a general area where we may look to possibly take action or buy or whatever, sell, whatever it may be. And we're now seeing that support towards VWAP, and yeah, it's been pretty weak though with the lower sales as well. The sentiment isn't so strong right now on Tesla, and here's the main reason why. So let's pull up here a little bit here. So here it is. According to European Automobile Manufacturer Association, new car registrations for Tesla, a proxy for sales, fell nearly 41% year over year in May. So it shows a big loss, right? And we've been saying this, right? Tesla has been losing market share, especially in China initially against BYD, and now the EV competition is getting more extreme in Europe. So you can kind of see that they're getting within China, they're slowly moving towards Europe, and losing market share here against these Chinese companies that you can just make cars cheaper. And at this point, honestly, it's going to be a battle of who has it cheaper, right? And that's always not a good indicator, right? We want to have still the innovation that Tesla has, but if they have to keep cutting the cost and having the cars to be cheaper at this point, what type of innovation can they possibly add into the cars or offer towards the customers, right? What's the differentiation factor between me going, okay, I want an electric car, but should I choose between a Tesla or a BYD or even a Rivian, right? I've seen a lot of them, going now around. So Tesla has to, really innovate here, have a little bit of a differentiation factor, so the consumer does go towards their product here. And I believe that, at this point, it's not just who makes it cheaper, right? There's also other factors coming in here. So yeah, it's not looking too good here on Tesla. Another EV name here is Lucid. This one's always been popping up on the volume gainers. It's done a heavy volume on the day, but it's not too liquid. It's been declining. It's found resistance at this pivot point, found support at this pivot point here, but the moves aren't too extreme unless you go you go big share size. During since the open, it's only gone up and down around 2-3 cents. So it kind of signifies that there isn't really a lot of liquidity here. So not really interested in that name. Another name that's been popping is SMCI, and this one had a nice bid up on the day. Was above VWAP here, but it found resistance at around this R4 and this prior VWAP from I think a high. Found that resistance, pulled back, had some sellers, and now we fell quite below VWAP, and we actually closed below VWAP. So sellers are clearly in control, and we may see a total reversion here of the overall trend here towards the downside. Maybe find support here at $43.60 here on SMCI, or if it does increase higher, we will find maybe some resistance here at $45.70, right? Another name that's been pretty strong now here is transitioning towards AMD. Absolutely monster, really bullish name. We had a buy signal here, the volume. I really liked this yesterday, so we added a call here somewhere around here. And we saw this explosive move now today on the open, and we've been seeing clearly strong on the daily. It's been increasing. It's been looking quite nice. I have a lot of bullish thesis on that. You guys can check out the video that I made on AMD. Really bullish on that, especially on their agentic AI thesis that they have. I think they can slowly start to gain market share against NVIDIA, right? So yeah, looking really bullish on this name. And on the day, very nice, came back towards VWAP, found support, a bounce, and it's now looking to try to take these highs of intraday highs here of 144 and possibly reach towards the next resistance level of 146, where we may find here some supply around this area here, 145, 146 there. So it's quite nice to see that. Another name also as well is SoFi. I've been really strong on the day. I'm really bullish on this name, as I believe it's really going to be benefited by the possible rate cuts that we're going to be seeing. I'm expecting a rate cut by the end of the year. Probably not the next one, but I am expecting a rate cut at the end of the year, and I gave my reasons as to why here. But it's kind of weak on the day, pulling back, but we consider the longer term trend. It's been nothing but increasing, right? We can't just factor in what it's doing on the day. We got to consider what it has been doing over the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? So it's been an uptrend, right? We have ever since Monday. We have higher lows, and higher highs. So it's been a pretty nice bullish uptrend. All we're doing now is pulling back, right? So I'm not looking to heavily short this name. I'm actually looking really bullish, and I just believe this is a possible short-term correction that we're seeing here on the overall stock. So I'm not looking too worried about that. Palantir, pretty strong on the day. Found resistance at 147 and just pulling back, but if we consider what it's been doing, it's been nothing but uptrending since Monday, so the beginning of the week, right? And we may find support maybe around this pivot point here, so it's looking pretty weak. Possible pullback, may find support, like I said, at this pivot point of around $141.50. Right here I think is a nice area of where demand can come in and slowly outpace this overall supply that we're seeing here on the markets. Yeah, so it's not looking too bad. I think it's just a minor pullback. Looking at Wolf, this name I've been looking to kind of maybe instantiate or look to make a swing trade on this name, but I'm looking this on a daily and it's not setting up yet. It has to get above. I obviously place the arrow here, even deliberately, so I would like to be long if we get above 464, and looks like we rejected that, so maybe it's not the time yet to go for a swing, right? I would like to go long if it breaks above the level. Would be a long position here, and we can firmly target this high here, this area of resistance. So if we go long here, we can firmly target from the 464 level that we have towards pretty much $6, so it would be like a 46% return. I don't think it'll go up to I don't think it'll go up that much, as this name is pretty heavily shorted, but it does have the chance to go up, just like BBAI. This name on the daily is just an absolute monster. I'm looking possibly to initiate a position here. So we had a nice break above these areas, right? What I'm really liking about this name, and I'm really looking bullish, is that if we zoom out, let's take this pivot points off. Really confusing for you guys. So we take that off, right? And we go back, we zoom out. Zoom out, right? We have a VWAP, an anchored VWAP plotted at the IPO, right? So we kind of want to get an idea if the people that have been long since the IPO, which was on the 19th of April of 2021, are they in the money or out of the money, right? So we plotted that, and now we're looking at it, and most of them were losing money during the beginning. For a couple years they were losing money, and now they're slowly starting to here get above, so we're above it, 403. So those people are now starting to make money, right? Since the IPO, this right, purple kind of line, right? And then we plot an anchored VWAP from that swing high, and we're seeing that now we're above it. So what I would like to see here is a couple candles, 2 more candles close, remain above this level of support here of this 390 range here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see. So let's see, a hold of this, area here of support, and I have price targets. I firmly believe this name can challenge the highs, all the way up to $10, right? This name has the momentum. We've seen it on the days. It's actually up on the day. It's actually down 9%, but yesterday had a very strong move, and this is looking like a very nice swing trade candidate. And I'll be looking long, like I said, if I see maybe 2 to 3 candles holding above this area, instantiating and showing that the sellers did not, in fact, bring the price down lower, did not add the extra supply, and demand is pretty much overbeating them, and like to enter here, so possibly a $5 $5.50 break. Stop loss would probably go here at $3, and just target towards those highs. Maybe some take some money off at key even levels like $7 $8 like that. But really bullish on this name as well here. BBAI. Looking at another name here, Intel. It's been pretty much a mess on the daily. This name has been, heavily criticized, as being behind on the AI, and I firmly believe that they are behind in the AI race, and it's pretty much showing on their overall stock, right? Pretty down overall. We look at the performance here, for example. So year to date it's up 10%, but year over year we kind of analyze that it's down 27%. So it haven't been outperforming. I compare this to an NVIDIA, right? That's been the leader. Even AMD is outperforming this name. Kind of gives to show here how heavily behind they are here on the name. Robinhood has been an absolute monster. This name on the daily, Jesus Christ, can't believe I wasn't in this name earlier. That strong decline on the April lows of $30, more than doubled that. We're now almost looking to go double than that. It was obviously a long here at the recuperation of the swing high. So around here, this accumulation zone break of that $51 break was a long. Too late to see that now. Honestly, some levels I'd like to possibly maybe look to enter with possibly some retracements here of the $71 level, or it's kind of getting a little bit overextended in my opinion. We can add in some EMA here, for example. Let's see, let's take this off. Actually added the wrong EMA here. EMA, moving average exponential. Let's add a 50, right? So you can kind of gauge potential areas of support here. So adding the 50 right there. So yeah, it's pretty far and extended from the $60. So I don't think it's going to decline that far, but we may start to see maybe some decline, some accumulation, allowing the price to, or this EMA to slowly rise towards maybe 71, 70. Maybe look like a nice area to possibly buy and be on this, but it's quite extended, and it's been nothing but a bullish trend, right? Really bullish name. The fundamentals are slowly starting to add up on this name compared to let's say competitors. And also Webull has been IPOing. I'm really looking bullish on that name. I firmly believe that it's undervalued right now, and it has the potential to go. It's recent IPO as well, so we might see that momentum slowly start to pick up on this name. Another name, Novartis. Well, I keep Navitas. I keep confusing it with Novartis, but it's Navitas Semiconductor Company, and they're pretty strong today, right? This is a daily chart, pretty strong. Looking at a smaller time frame here on the 10-minute or 5-minute, whatever, pretty bearish, but you can say that it's pretty strong, right? There's buyers here present on this name, and we can see that because we've been holding above the 50 MA. And what does that tell us? That we should give the benefit of the doubt to the buyers, showing that they are in general in control of the name here, right here on Navitas. And you see we had a strong downward trend, you can say, but it wasn't didn't last too long, and it found starting to add some demand around this area here, 717, and now it's moving towards the upside. So yeah, pretty bullish. Coin also popping up here on the scanner. This name is an absolute monster ever since the Genius Act was passed, and I'm really bullish on this name as well alongside Bitcoin. I'm a big Bitcoin boy, you guys know that. I always post here news that I'm bullish on Bitcoin, and for example here on the headlines, just primarily we look for that Bitcoin exposure, basically, right? And we like seeing that, and right now it's just pulling back, but the bigger trend is towards the upside, so we should be looking long. It's been having nothing but intense and beautiful days here. It's been uptrending. We discount, we kind of ignore this day. It's been nothing but uptrending, and we have to take that into account. So right now it's possibly just pulling back, trying to find some demand here at lower levels, and we may find some support here at 341 here on the day, but it's just pulling back, on the grand scheme of things. It's really bullish name, and alongside with Bitcoin here. And we can look at Bitcoin, right? See what it overall is doing. So let's do Bitcoin USD, pull it up, and let's look at this on a daily chart. It's kind of pulling back, but let's see. See, look where it found support again at the 50 EMA. See, like buyers are, holding here, right? We did below it, but intense buyers come in, and you can see this on this candle that came in here. We were, and also this area, this $100,000 area, has also been an area of support, right? So that's that double confluence. We have the 50 EMA right around this zone and this area here of support. We'll put that as green right now, so signify that there's buyers there. And we dip below it, and people immediately start buying. They kind of see 100,000 as a discount, so when it goes below 100,000, people they buy because it seems at a discount. This prior area or this level was a lot of resistance prior here on Bitcoin. It was a lot of some, not really 100,000, but these levels were pretty resistance. We broke above them, we've been testing them each time, and seeing bounces. But I like to see more how do I say it, more explosiveness here on the moves here on Bitcoin. I like to see maybe a candle get above 110, get above this high, signify the upper momentum. And I'm still looking bullish on Bitcoin, right? Honestly, I'd be looking to possibly add more into the position. It's kind of accumulating here, but what I'm really liking here is that it's been holding, like I said, the 50 EMA and this $100,000 level, and I still have the price targets towards 130,000 here for Bitcoin. I'm really bullish on that name here. Overall, it's expected, right? We've been seeing a lot of companies here and funds outright buying this thing, and with that institutional support, it just adds to the bullish thesis on the long term here on Bitcoin, that it's just a heavy and a very well played instrument, right? So like I said, the price target of 130, we don't know quite yet when that price target will be achieved, but the price action is signaling us that that is a potential price target towards 130. All we have to do, like I said, is close above here, maybe see a candle, couple days, stay above, and see some explosive type of candle, some type of candle like this that closes above this 110, and to us that would signify the bullish continuation towards the upside and that price target right there on Bitcoin. And if that does happen, we would also be looking at Ethereum and looking for a play. And we're seeing that it's also holding here the 50 EMA, right? We dip below it, buyers come in intensely. They try to pick the price up, at these levels. It kind of held a $2,000 level flat, quite bullish. So if Bitcoin goes, I firmly believe that this can also be played. Ethereum. I'd like to see maybe a break here above 2,600, which kind of be break this prior lower high and instantiate the bullish momentum here, and possibly target 3,000, all that. But it's really bullish here on the name. So going back to the triple Qs here on the overall daily, we're at all-time highs. So yeah, like I said, we're still bullish on the market as we're approaching all-time highs. And looks like we're having some trouble getting above it, but we pretty much are there, right? And this pretty much ceasefire kind of instantiated that, had that bullish momentum towards the upside, that the market kind of needed that fundamental news that was, needed. But, we still have that price target of the triple Qs towards the $617 level, right there, maybe 570 here on the upcoming, maybe on the year. It all depends on, obviously, the geopolitical, risk and the uncertainty, but right now it's looking like there is that overall ceasefire and de-escalation, but the markets haven't really been impacted, right? It's been around 13 days or almost 2 weeks since the overall Israel started attacking Iran here, and we haven't really seen a heavy decline. Like the markets aren't really factoring it in. It's like as if they don't really care about the matter. In this case, because we've only been bidding up, I would expect to see maybe some more downward momentum, more downward push, but the markets aren't seeing that. So kind of signifies to us that maybe the market isn't really too heavily focused on, what the conflict may be, or obviously if it does escalate, maybe the market will see that. But fortunately, we are seeing the de-escalation, and the markets, have a reason to go up here. We actually had that gap up here on the prior day here on Tuesday, June 25 here. So pretty bullish. All-time highs here on the name. Let's go on a 5-minute, and now we're maybe starting to see a potential support area at around the 50 EMA. Let's check that out. Right there. Yeah, we're still below VWAP, but maybe we're holding here at this 50 EMA here. We'll have to see. Let's look back to NVIDIA. Yeah, had that heavy resistance at the 153, the all-time highs that it had on the name. And let's see. Yeah, we haven't had a bearish signal at all. Yeah, looks like the momentum is starting to fade a little bit on the name, right? The bullish, but it did find that resistance, right? I think it was a 153 all-time highs on NVIDIA. I'm not too sure. Let's see. All-time highs. Yeah, so around, we encountered that resistance there, right there. So going back to a 10-minute chart, that's what we found, the resistance on NVIDIA. So let's put this as red. Now we're kind of pulling back, maybe looking, in search of, momentum here. We're looking for possibly some demand here at these lower prices, to kind of, allow us to move higher, right? So it's kind of like the momentum is kind of fading, but we want to see maybe, this type of, hold, maybe capture some liquidity below VWAP, slowly start to bid up, right, and accumulate, make the higher high, and, add towards that curl towards the upside. That's what we would like to see here on NVIDIA, right? Go lower, capture more demand here, maybe, get some people liquidated, and slowly move towards the upside, right? Because overall long-term trend is towards the upside. Why be short a name that the majority of the time frames, or especially the long-term trend, is towards the upside? It just doesn't make sense, right? You're going against the main trend. So we should be looking to be long on the name overall, right? The trend is your friend, right? Until it bends, right? Everybody knows that. So yeah, I'm really bullish on this name as well. Also, AMD, I believe, is pulling back as well. Now she's going higher. Okay, AMD going higher, but NVIDIA pulling back. Well, obviously makes sense, right? At all-time highs, I don't think it was gonna break it today. Relatively, the volume hasn't really been too impacted. So we'll go back to AMD. To NVIDIA. Pretty sus, pretty suspicious. Yeah, looks like the momentum maybe it's starting to slow down a little bit. It is waning, basically. Let's see. Yeah, now it's looking like maybe some buyers are coming in, which is nice to see. We like to see the volume also increase, right, towards the upside right here. Let's see, like there's some buyers defending here at VWAP. Quite nice to see that. We'd also like to see this defend with, you know, an increase here on the volume. Like, see, it's been declining. Here, let's see maybe some volume increase as well with the overall bounce, right? To show that, you know, buyers are defending their level. You know, give us a little bit more confluence and confidence as well here on the name. As well as always, you know, you guys been getting a lot of recommendations. I've seen on X as well from a lot of, you know, signals, a lot of, you know, trending tickers here on the name, and I'll be putting a little bit more on X as well to, you know, add a little bit more of you know, that information toward you guys as well. So, you know, as well, you guys are here, you know, might as well subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to reach more people, and give the live stream also a like, you know, so allow the overall algorithm to expose ourselves to more people. So we like that as well. Let's see what Anchor VWAP is doing. Yeah, so see, there is that defend here on NVIDIA. Yeah, see, the volume is there. It is. So we're slowly starting to see that defend, which is quite nice to see. Probably have to zoom in a little bit more here, kind of detail a little bit more of what NVIDIA is trying to do. So we have VWAP. Let's kind of edit this. So let's make it thicker on the chart. We can't really see it. Let's see. There we go. Okay. There we go. Maybe take this off. There it is. So there's the VWAP, and it's holding quite nice. Seeing a 40-cent bounce. Yeah, like I said, you know, we'd like to see some more demand, you know, around these areas here, 150 as well. I think that the 150 defend is going to be important, you know, and also allow the trend to form also as well a higher low, right? So this possibly could be the higher low, which would, you know, still show us that it's bullish, and that would, you know, also tell us that that would be the bullish momentum and still continuation here on NVIDIA, you know, trying to break all-time highs here. And yeah, pretty much the name is really bullish. So while we do that and see if the volume and allow this candle to close, let's go back here on Tesla and see how it's performing. So yeah, like I said, we did find that short-term now resistance here on Tesla at the VWAP. So we had a strong heavy decline, so having pivot points here, we had a nice rally towards the mean right here, which is a VWAP. And now we're starting to slowly gain back towards the downside here, right? So there kind of was a rejection. We didn't even, looks like we didn't even get above VWAP so far, right? We generally, when there is that, you know, sellers slowly starting to, you know, weaken, we see a little bit of a kind of, you know, a break above VWAP. We kind of hold a little bit, but not too long, and then we continue that downward trend because, you know, the sellers have a better entry price, you know, and a cheaper price to enter, honestly, right? If I was looking short on a name, right, overall I would prefer to be short basically above VWAP, right? I wouldn't want to be short here, right, because the move is well overdone, right? Or if you can still capture some of the move, but it's not going to be as much as what you could have had, right? So when it gets above VWAP, right, I'd rather be short here at this level. So, you know, when it tries to get above VWAP and it fails with, let's see, when it tries to, you know, get above VWAP but it fails with this upward wick, that's where I would like to be short, right, around this area, compared to getting short just because it breaks here, this support area. So see, you have a difference here around this area. you have a difference of around, let's say, $6, right? Obviously, not just because of the profit, but you're also going to be seeing the movement slowly starting to fade. And, entering here, when the candle is starting to tell you that, there's some buyers starting to emerge and the biggest volume candle, and you're not seeing that downward move, it's kind of signaling that there may be not a reversal, but a little short-term, rally, right? So you don't want to be caught off guard here when you see that, right? And when we see these candles, right, these hammered candles, it signifies that buyers are coming into the name, right? They're slowly starting to add into the position and, overwhelm the sellers. And at the same time, we get a little bit of a divergence. We see the volume here, right? The selling volume was increasing, but we had the highest volume candle on this candle right here, right? But you ask yourself this: if there was really that intense volume, why didn't we see further downside? So it's kind of a warning sign around this candle that came in at 710, and that's what prompted shortly the movement towards the upside right there. It's quite nice to see. And also it's weak on the day because we are below the 50 EMA, and when we are below the 50 EMA, we give the benefit of the doubt to the sellers, right? We don't want to go against them. You can obviously could have went long here. You could have seen that that divergence and this candle opening above this prior one, right? You could have had a price target towards VWAP. It would have been a nice move, $6 move, around $6 to $5. But we have to remind ourselves that we generally want to be in the direction of the trend. And today, it's been a pretty clear trend here on Tesla, and it's been nothing but towards the downside. Let's see how NVIDIA is doing. So yeah, did find some buyers, like it's finding a bounce, some support. That was quite nice to see. This candle closed. Now I see this candle. See if this candle can close, higher like that. I gotta change the colors, make it really green like that. Which kind of show us that now that curl did happen, right? And the buyers did defend the VWAP quite well at the $151 VWAP in around 50 cents. It's getting near to 50, but it's at 45 cents there. It's quite nice to see. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, and as well, if you guys have any tickers, feel free to drop them down in the comments section below, and we'll review it and give you guys a little bit more of the feedback, in our thoughts there as well. And also allows me to get more exposure to other tickers, the names that are moving, regardless of whether they're small caps or big caps. It also allows more exposure to those names, right? That sometimes they're not detected by the overall scanners, right? In the market, there's always opportunities every single day. So apart from that, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and also comment down your tickers and what you're trading, right? Are you looking bullish on NVIDIA, right? What's your term? What's your outlook? Are you looking bullish on Tesla? Are you looking bearish? What do you think about these numbers? Or are you bullish on Bitcoin? Feel free to drop that down in the comment section below. So let's see, pulling back. These days have been pretty rangy as well. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, but now, okay. Let's see. That was weird. I was seeing the little bit here, the volume on here, one of the charts, and kind of spiked a little bit. It's kind of weird. That's why I kind of paused. Yeah, that was weird. Very weird. But yeah, other than that, it's really bullish still. I don't want to be short the name. Right now we're seeing the buyers coming in, which is quite nice to see. Now we're seeing this real time on the 10-minute, and the volume looks like it is increasing. I like that volume that came in right there. Let's see what it does. And it's still within, you could say within the range when it's between these bands, it's kind of, you could say it's going to be flat, right? It's returning back to the mean. We look at it, you guys could probably see this on maybe a smaller time frame. Let's go to a 1 minute, right? So when, let's see, we have VWAP and the price action is above one of the bands, so this upper band, it shows that there's intense buying, right? And apart from that, it shows that the momentum is increased, right? So when we are above it, we see nice momentum, nice bullish trends, and we pulled back, not towards VWAP exactly, but towards that band. So it could have been a nice area, to buy or add to your longs. Here, pulls back, bounces, pulls back, bounces, pulls back, bounces, pulls back, bounces. Rinse and repeat until, we open at here, right? And now we're just accumulating, right? But when we see this, right, it shows that there's a lot of buying momentum, a lot of upside. Same thing on Tesla, right? If we look at Tesla on the 1 minute, right, and now it's going to be towards the downside, right? We see that exact same thing happen. We open down, and when we see the price action be below here, now this lower band shows us the intense momentum that there's been towards the downside. Now we slowly start to find a bid, and we get now in, right? And that kind of prompted us to possibly that could have been along towards the VWAP, right? Towards that retracement, towards the mean, right? Which is VWAP, right? And that's what it's been doing now. It's just been flat, right? So it's kind of digesting the news here. But when this happens, when it's below, like I said here, the overall lower bands or whatever the trend is, if it's a downward trend, let me illustrate this a little bit better. Upper band, we'll put that as green. Lower band, we'll put that as red. Signify the sellers. Let's see. Okay, when we're a downward trend, we generally want the price action to be below this overall lower band. Signifies that there's a lot of selling. We pulled back towards it, not exactly towards VWAP, but towards it, and we declined heavy. Now, when we get above here and we see this big, look at this big volume, this big buying volume, it could have been a warning to get out. And also, we'll close multiple closes here on the 1 minute inside the overall bands, shows us that the momentum is fading, and we possibly see a retracement towards the EMA, right? And that's what we saw, right? And now we're just accumulating here, and we're seeing some some buying, but some selling, buying and selling. So it's pretty indecisive right now. Maybe trying to look at a 5 minute, and now we're seeing maybe some buying here. If we do bid up, I believe that maybe Tesla will find some resistance there. This could be a long position underneath VWAP, but we don't like to be against the trend here. So primarily we would like to be looking short and possibly find that resistance, like I said, at the 50 MA. So the $330 level, a key level, which was supposed to hold today. That was a key level on the daily as well, and pretty even level, right? The 330. So it may come back and test it now as resistance because it broke the level that it was supposed to be support. All right, it's holding quite well. No selling signals at all. It's like the momentum is picking up here. Buying is present. Well, let's see. There's any recent type of developments or news that may impact us here. Let's see. Looking at X. Bernie Sanders on the Joe Rogan podcast. See any potential news that may impact us. Not really. Just we know with all these tweets that they come in, they may impact the market here. So we had a 14 hours ago. Not really too important, but yeah, like I said, when we had this, that's what's important to stay up to date, with the social media, because we had this June 21st. That was, I believe, Saturday or Sunday. We had this announcement, right, about Donald Trump, having that attack on Iran, right, their nuclear sites, and that they completely obliterated them and they completely destroyed. The thing went viral, right, obviously, but it seemed to, kind of, affect the markets in a way. On Monday, we're kind of flattish, kind of digesting the news, maybe wait for the retaliation, and we did have a retaliation, but now that we're seeing the peace talks, thankfully, we're seeing that de-escalation. The markets are, bidding up, which is quite nice to see. But no news so far that may impact here any of the markets here. And then there it is. NVIDIA did find that support, and looks like we are bidding above VWAP there. So it's quite nice to see that defend and buyers come in, defend their average price. Let's see, that's what we would need, honestly, to break the highs. We would need to pull back, find some more demand that can ride along with us, right, like more people on the train, and break above this resistance, right, maybe all-time highs. We can possibly break that, and if we do break that, the next area of resistance would be 154, right, and around the 22 cents, right, which would give us that overall confidence and certainty that the market is still bullish and still maintaining its positive narrative, right? See, kind of just looking at NVIDIA, it's not looking too good here. Yeah, we're still defending there, but I keep seeing that thing again on the volume, like rapid just increase, just it's very weird to see that. That's what I'm kind of doubtful here, but nice to see the price action defend VWAP so far. But yeah, I keep seeing that on the volume little indicator. It's weird. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, if this breaks above now again the upper band, that would be the continuation towards the upside, right? So add us more credence, more confirmation and confidence here on this overall trend. See the NASDAQ. Yeah, NVIDIA's quite strong relative to the overall market, right? Like the overall NASDAQ is declining, right? We've been seeing that heavy decline, and yet, right? Let's see. Yeah, we find support here, 539. But yet we are still increasing on NVIDIA. Quite interesting to see that. Right, Palantir week. Right, now finding maybe some support at the 50. Maybe, we don't know yet. See how the financials are doing. Let's check JP Morgan. Bullish on the day. This is a 40%. JP Morgan analyst is a 40% chance of a U.S. recession in late 2025, lowering the growth forecast. Well, yeah, obviously, maybe. Like I said, with GDP coming in lower and retail sales coming in, does slow, right? To show the economic slowdown that we're seeing, right? Obviously, the economy is slowing down, and the numbers are here to back it up, right? And possibly that's why there's more pressure on the Fed to cut the rates, right? To incentivize that economic, slowly, incentivize the economy. Let's check at the XLF financials ETF. Up on the day. Not bad, not bad. Let's check here. Let's check a little bit over overviews. See what sectors are strong. What stocks are strong. So let's pull up the overall heat map here on TradingView, and like we see, technology services pretty flat, I would say, with the exception of Google strong on the day. This name's been pretty heavily shorted. Yesterday it was really declining quite heavily. And let's see, finance pretty red, consumer durables, that's what's pretty red, with Tesla leading the downside here. We also have NVIDIA, electronic technology, let's say bullish with NVIDIA leading the way here, almost 3%. Amazon, retail trade, so yeah, mostly pretty bearish, especially in health technology, all these sectors. Finance, only JP Morgan being up on the day. Brick B declining. Brick B's been declining right after I think resignation of CEO Warren Buffett, right? That's primarily why the stock's been seen as pretty bullish, right, under his leadership, right? And now that he's gonna step away. Now there's that uncertainty with Brick B. Yeah, it's been declining ever since that announcement. Let's see. Yeah, right there. This seems inverse to the market, right? The market, at this April bids up, but inverse correlation here with Brick B declining, right, in comparison to the market. Solid bounce in the market, but Brick B declining. Interesting. Let's pull this up on that. Yeah, NVIDIA's still holding. Quite nice to see that. It's pretty early on the day too, right? Still we have around 3 hours for the market to close. Around 3 hours and a half. So have a long way here for the market. So a lot, pretty high chance that NVIDIA will go towards the upside and just keep appreciating. We'll have to see that as long as we hold above VWAP and we don't look any more bearish. But yeah, other than that, we'll leave it at that for today. As always, thank you for joining the live stream as well. And if you're seeing this after the live stream has ended, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and be attentive, right, to the video that we'll be posting today at 1 p.m. It's going to be a very detailed video here on a stock, an overall topic that I know you guys are very interested in, and I hope that it will please you guys. And apart from that, as always, stay uplifted and don't let the markets whip you guys out. I'll see you guys